on the truck for a couple of days, and yesterday was, you know, it's still cold, like -4 Celsius now, right? In the morning it was -8, which is somewhere just over 20 F. And I tried to run the heater. It was running okay, but you know, if you run it all the time, it gets hot in the sleeper. And now I'm using the curtains, and when I draw the curtains, you know, I don't open any windows in there, and occasionally I just turn on the heater because the controls are right there. But then I heard the beeping, and I already know this beeping. I peeked through the curtains, and I saw there was like yellow flashing thing in here saying low battery disconnect, you know. And so now I'm just running it to charge the battery a little bit, and plus, you know, I want to get it warm. So now you see my the blue light under the picture of a truck that's on, means that it's recirculating the air. That's the temperature, maximum 84 F. Like it's still funny, you know, like you buy a truck in Canada, everything is in imperial units, right? And then that blue light over there under that, under the right dial, means that it's the sleeper, the vents in the sleeper are also opened. Okay, and let me just show you over here. It's a bit dark in here, but so when that button is pushed in, so I can use these controls, and then the air is coming also through that. See, basically that gives you the heating. And this little thing over here to the left, it's hard to see, but that's the actual bunk heater control, right? And I figured, oh, and somebody was asking me about the control for the pusher axle. It's this one. Like you see these three over here. So the one in the middle is the suspension on the truck. I can take I get the air out, and then the right one is the you know, one of those axle locks. But the one on the left with the little picture showing up towards the axle, that's the pusher axle. Okay, and the adjuster of the pressure is outside. And one thing I wanted to show here, I was watching some of my old videos where people were still comment on the radio, and I remember that, you know, I never calibrated this radio, so now we're gonna do that. So channel 1, we switch to calibration mode over here, and then we press the button. Yeah, and it's way too far. You see, like the red needle goes way too far. So there's over here a calibration. You got to turn it left, and it's under the word calibration, right? And then we switch it to SWR and press the button again. Oh, it's at the very bottom, so that's good. Sorry. So that means that it's very good, you know, ratio. So the signal is very strong. So that's good. Now we switch back to calibration, and we do channel 40, and it's pretty much the same. So now we do back to SVR, and it's also very minimal. So we switch it back, and I turned off the that noise reduction automatic one, because I can do it with this. Oh wait, that's my mic. This one is my mic, and this one is out of gain. Now let's do some testing. Testing. Anybody from Texas hears this? Anybody in Texas? Over. See, so that's not good. So nobody in Texas can hear me. Alberta, come on. Anybody in Alberta can hear me? No, that's not a very good radio. Just testing the radio. Can you hear me?
Yeah, coming in low.
Great. Thank you, buddy. Alright, so the radio is working. You see, there was a bit too much. I just needed to adjust the calibration a little bit, and the guy says he can hear me. And of course, I was joking about Alberta and Texas, but he was confused, trying to see who I'm calling. But these are very reliable radios. You know, I had this probably on all my previous trucks. The only suggestion, you know, if I could make, now we're gonna turn it off. If I could make one suggestion for somebody who's buying a brand new truck, I would say, just out of curiosity, ask them how much they charge you for this radio. You know, I did this on the Mac, and I knew it, and the guy says, oh, $450, you know, on the 2015 Mac. And I said, buddy, are you aware, you like the little store inside the airport, you know, where people have no idea what the prices are in the real world? I said, I can buy this radio for like, I don't know, $100 US online, or in US at any truck stop. Maybe it was like just over $100, but because it's a classic radio, right? It doesn't have any digital controls, you know, like newer ones. They have like digital dials. This is a classic, right? 29 classic Cobra, but a very good radio, very reliable. But I'm just saying that sometimes it's better to you know, just spec all the connections in there, and antennas. See, like antennas, I'm pretty sure this left one is for the CB and the right one is for the radio, for the actual radio. But this is not a very good position because it's very low. Like at least my truck, it's not the sky high, you know, not like a super big sleeper like that black truck over there. Mine is more like this red Kenworth, right? Mine is a mid-roof. Actually, that one is flat top, but mine is kind of like that, right? And so, but still, the antennas, that's not a very good position, you know. The antenna should be on the roof. And I read online, somebody was saying good things about these, I think they're made in China, these striker antennas, that they increase the, you know, the signal, the output. But you know, I don't want to drill holes in a brand new truck, so I'm just gonna stay with this. But I remember what happened on my Mac. I think the like this one has a very nice finish, like fitting in here. See, like the hole for the radio is like precisely cut in here, you know. So I don't think it's gonna be you know, shaky. But on the Mac, all this area was open, and I found with time that the radio started moving, and then eventually it was not enough space in the back there, and then eventually cables started, because they were always, you know, too tight at you know, at a very sharp angle, and there was some kind of wear and tear. And I noticed that sometimes I would turn the radio on and nothing was happening, you know. Like I started losing the power, and the whole radio was like moving, you know. So I think over here it's better. Like it's just the fitting, like everything in this truck, I find that that's just one example, but I find that on this truck everything is just fitted better, you know. If you remember, let me just double check before I mention this, but if you remember, this spot on the Mac, day one, started falling out, you know. This one is much stronger, and this doesn't seem like a flaky fabric with plastic like what they use on the Mac. So, you know, because I didn't even notice myself when I was doing a video and I was pointing the camera like this, and somebody noticed this and left a comment, hey, what's going on, a brand new truck, you know. Like, I don't see this on a Kenworth. And look at the quality over here. Everything is, you know, like all these nice stitches, you know. Just, I'm really impressed how they put these trucks together, you know. So maybe they are the world's best, but we'll know only when I start driving it, because so far I only did 1167 kilometers, which is, I don't know, 600 miles. Actually, wait a second. I only did 167 myself, because when I got this truck it had 1021 kilometers. So yeah, I did 150 kilometers, less than 100 miles. And I'm getting used to, you know, slowly to all the controls. Now it all makes sense. So, you know, the dash, I'm getting used to this, because this is totally different, like the, you know, the how to operate the this thing over here. So I just turn the dial and it gives me all these options. See, like I can when I push it in, it selects these gauges, and then I can change and then I can have that either speedometer or tachometer, you know. If I go back, click this, go back, and again if I want to look at the current fuel economy, you know, all the time, but I don't want to like doing that. And then I can see it says select to minimize, so if I push in, the screen disappears. And actually that's how I like driving, you know. And this is it. So hopefully Monday I'm gonna get everything sorted out with the paperwork on the truck. And I've been already talking to some brokers about getting a load next week. And again, there were a couple of loads, but they're all going in the wrong direction, you know, like too far west. And now I believe Michigan is still, you know, kind of like a deep freeze zone, so you cannot do oversized, overweight loads going through there. So ideally, I want to find a load going towards Alabama, because that's where I need to pick up my brand new shiny flip box, the gooseneck extension. It's already paid for, everything is done, and the guy's asking me, when are you going? I said, I have no idea, just I have to find a load, right? I cannot do 1,200 miles empty just to pick up that piece of metal, which I do need. But there was one load. I exchanged emails with this guy yesterday. It's a Russian team. I used to work with them when I was at Landstar. I know these guys, and their loads unfortunately are always super cheap. And so it's 1,200 miles, and they're offering like $3,000, you know, for IGN. And I said, guys, that's like a drive-in rate right now, right? Like, because even drive-in rates are up, you know. And he says, well, the maximum we can pay is this, and he just increased it a little bit. And then he sent me another email. He says, well, actually it was pushed back to March 26th. And that's when you see these super cheap rates. It's when the shipper is super cheap or the broker wants to make a lot of money. What they do is, when the load is another rush load, right? So they don't care when it's shipped, you know. Let's say the buyer or the new owner or whatever of this equipment doesn't care. They're just looking for the cheapest possible price, and so they put it on the load board, because that's where all cheap loads belong most of the time, right? And they just put the rate they really want to pay, or maybe just a couple of $100 less, so to leave them some room for negotiation. And they don't care. Like, they know that eventually some crazy guy that really want to get back to US will take this super cheap load. But again, like, you know, my pride does not allow me to take a load which pays really less than a drive-in load, you know, like, come on. and then there was another load going west, Montana, Colorado, but again, that's far from ideal because it's too far to Alabama, you know, to pick up the flip box. So anyway, but I feel optimistic. So yeah, I still keep that email from this other load board, the Canadian load board. I'm gonna hook up with them once I have all the paperwork that they need, because that's the load board that has Canadian brokers. Like the one I'm using now has 99% of loads are posted by American freight brokers and American shippers, right? And that's why the rates I'm seeing from Canada are always super cheap. Like the rates are great from US to Canada, but from Ontario and Quebec they're very cheap because I guess they think that I'm American, right? Since I'm using the American load board, so I'm American and I'm looking for a cheap backhaul load, you know, that's why they don't want to pay. And so with this board, actually I can make more money by just going empty into nearby states, you know, like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and I see some great loads. And when I search for a load, I just usually first I click on the rate and I look at the toppest rate, because maybe half of the loads they put the rate. Half of the loads you have to call to find out, the other half has the rate. And so I click on the rate. If I don't like that one, I click on the weight, you know, and I want to see all the loads sorted by heaviest to lightest, because that's where I can compete with people, because I can do a very heavy load, right? I cannot compete. It's hard for me to compete with a big company that has 20 trucks, 40 trailers, whereas the load only weighs like 20,000 pounds, you know. So my secret weapon is the weight. I can move a lot of weight, and so that's my second criteria. So first the rate, second the weight, and then if nothing is there, the next thing I do is I click on the distance, loaded miles, and I sort them from 0 to maximum, right? So I see which one is the closest, because usually that's where the rate is the best. And first I look in Canada, going to other parts of Canada and US, and then I switch to my other search, which is pre-programmed on my load board, and I look at the loads available in the nearby states, like I mentioned, New York, Ohio, PA, you know, Michigan, going back to Ontario and Quebec. And that's my strategy. So I'm pretty positive that I'll find something next week, and then things will become easier. You know, the spring is coming, and things will become easier for me once I sign up for this Canadian load board. So this will give me kind of like the best of both worlds. Canadian brokers when I need a load going into US, and American brokers when I need a load from US to Canada. So that's what I wanted to mention, just show you guys the radio and say a few of these extra things about the truck. And so hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday I'll get rolling. And I still didn't hook up my ELD. See the cable still over there, but this is hooked up and it stays, you know, didn't disconnect over there. So pretty cool. And I didn't calibrate yet this one because I need my full loaded weight. And actually I think I will reweigh the truck, because you see right now I have very little fuel. So like this is not very helpful, you know? My empty weight with this 51,640 pounds. That's hardly any fuel, you know. So I want to get at least a full tank of fuel, because I know it's going to be probably 52,500 at least with one tank. And then I can calibrate the gauge first with empty weight, that's what it needs, and then the second with loaded. But hopefully, yeah, more videos to come. So please stay tuned, subscribe, and check my channel every few days. I look forward to, you know, start tracking, because if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been sitting on my butt since December 17th, 2017. So I really want to start trucking, and you know, what else is there to wish but like a dream truck like this, you know? I have pretty much everything to make good money. I have a very good equipment. I have the skills. I have all the infrastructure, so to speak, in you know, like load board, my factoring company, or my paperwork is ready. Like I have all my pre-made bills of lading, invoices. I got everything set up to cross the border. Right, I got my insurance. So just a couple of extra hurdles I need to overcome, and then I can start trucking. Thanks for watching. Stay warm.